Have you ever stopped to think that maybe it's you that's the problem? Sometimes people lack the self-awareness that what they do is actually toxic, myself included, okay? Sometimes we just don't know that we're being toxic. I'm gonna go over 5 signs that you might be displaying some toxic behaviors, some quick self-tests to figure out if it applies to you, and then how we can try to fix that. I just quickly wanna say there's absolutely nothing wrong if you find that you have done these things or are doing these things, as long as you recognize it and you take the steps to correct it. There's no point in beating yourself up or being frustrated at yourself. We're all here learning and growing, and you just didn't know. And like I said before, I'm not excluded in this. I may have done one or a couple of these, but anyways, let's just get to the signs. Sign number 1 is you constantly play the victim. What it looks like, you're always blaming others. You're blaming your circumstances. They made me do it. Nobody ever helps me. It's your fault that I act this way. I'm responding like this because you made me blah, blah, blah. You rarely say, I messed up. There's always some sort of justification for your actions and minimizing your role or externalizing your responsibility. This is harmful because it can prevent growth. You're not taking accountability for your behavior, so you stay stuck in those same behavior patterns. How are you going to change your behavior if you can't even acknowledge the way you're acting? It erodes trust from relationships when you're always blaming somebody else for your actions. Maybe people will stop trying to help you because you'll just dismiss it. So let's quick self-test ourselves and ask, and really be honest when you answer yourself, how many times have you said, they made me do it? When conflict happens, do you immediately think that you're right? And lastly, do people ever suggest for you to take responsibility, but you resist because it's not your fault? So some immediate steps that we can take if we find that maybe, yes, we are playing the victim. Before we react to a situation, let's take a beat and count to 3 and really think about our response. If you're defensive about a situation, let's instead acknowledge the situation. Thank you for letting me know. I need a moment to think about it, and then reflect first before reacting or immediately getting defensive. Here's a journaling prompt for you to reflect on if you do find yourself playing the victim quite often. And it's, what's one small, specific thing that I can own up to right now? Okay, sign number 2 that you might be toxic is you drain other people's energy. This can manifest in looking like your conversations are repetitive, you're constantly seeking assurance, reassurance, you're complaining constantly. You might be dominating the conversation, interrupting others with your own issues, not listening to others and always steering it back to your own. Your friends might leave the interaction feeling a bit drained or overwhelmed. This is harmful in relationships because it can create an emotional exhaustion for the people that you're talking to. You're draining their energy. It creates very one-sided relationships. A lot of times when you just hang out with somebody and all you do is vent, it leaves them feeling more, just used as somebody to vent to rather than a true connection. How many times have you been on the opposite end where you leave a conversation feeling drained? What were they doing? So quick self-test. Are you doing those things that those people do that leave you feeling drained? Do you notice the other person feeling, a bit quieter after you're done venting, a bit flat? Do you ever ask other people about their day or their issues? How often do you steer the conversation back to your problems and complain? So some ways to fix this is if you do want to vent, make sure the other person is in the right headspace for you to vent to, because it is draining. Ask them, can I vent to you for like 2 minutes, and like set a timer and use it as dedicated venting time. Once that timer is done, ask about them. Let's move on. Another thing is when we complain, let's follow up maybe with a solution, or like, oh, this sucks, but I'm gonna do this to make it better. If you catch yourself interrupting the other person or steering it back to yourself and your issues, acknowledge it and say, I am so sorry. I realized I have been just talking about me this whole time. Let's hear about you. So, a little mini challenge for if you find yourself being an energy drainer. Let's start first timing our vent sessions. Number 2, start asking genuine questions to the other person. After that, number 3, let's share a good thing rather than a complaint. Okay, let's try that in your next interaction with somebody. A journaling prompt for this one could be, what interactions have I noticed left the other person feeling drained? How could I have shifted it? The third sign is you struggle with boundaries, your own and others. So what it looks like is you pushing other people past where they're comfortable. You might guilt trip people. If they don't want to do something, you make them feel bad about it. Don't respect their boundaries. You don't let them say no. And that includes yourself. If you're saying yes to things that you're not comfortable with, you're not respecting your own boundaries. This is harmful because it does violate kind of trust. It can breed resentment on both sides. Think about when somebody has violated your boundaries. You're not happy with them afterwards. And if you do this to yourself, it can lead yourself to a cycle of people pleasing. So test yourself. Do you feel entitled to other people's space and time? Do others tell you that you overstep? Or do you ever feel resentful after saying yes? Or like, I should not have said yes. I really don't want to do that. Okay, so immediate steps we can take if we're doing this toxic behavior. If somebody tells you no, immediately say, all right, I respect it. I hear you. Thanks for telling me. Set your own boundaries is another one. Sorry, I can't do this and that right now, but I can help with that, something else, or another time when you can do it. If you already noticed yourself crossing a boundary, you can acknowledge it right there and apologize for it. I'm sorry I disregarded your boundary earlier. That was very wrong of me, and I will respect it moving forward. To practice setting boundaries for yourself, because you don't want to be toxic towards yourself, practice saying no. Practice how you will respond to people when you don't want to do something, and try to build up that trust with yourself. Journaling prompt for this one. Where did I disrespect or where did I overstep someone's boundary this week? And how can I act differently? Number 4 is you can't handle criticism. This looks like getting defensive, you shut down, you attack the other person, you can't receive feedback or even gaslight the situation. You might feel like shame or anger at another person's suggestion. It's harmful because people want to stop giving you feedback. They don't want to be honest with you. It prevents trust. And then you're going to lose opportunities to improve because nobody's going to want to share anything with you. People will walk on eggshells around you, and you don't want people that are close to you to feel that way. Relationships are supposed to be open and open to feedback, whether we like it or not. So ask yourself, after somebody gives you feedback, do you immediately think that they're attacking you or helping you? Realistically, what do you think they're actually trying to do? And if you're not sure, before you get defensive, ask clarifying questions. What did you mean by that? When I last received helpful criticism, what triggered my defensive reaction? And number 5, you manipulate to get your way. Now this looks like guilt trips, silent treatment, threats, lying, emotional coercion to control events, control things. You might minimize the other person's feelings twist facts so it fits your own narrative. This is harmful and extremely toxic. When you manipulate people, it damages their trust in you. It creates an unhealthy power dynamic. Even if it's small, it can add up over time, and it can lead to resentment, relationship breakdown. So ask yourself, have I ever used guilt to influence a decision? Have you ever withheld affection or communication in order to punish the other person? Do you ever change the story in order to make yourself look better? Immediately when we notice this happening, stop it, and think to yourself, recognize, oh my God, I'm using manipulation right now. I'm going to stop, make a repair. I realize I tried to get my way by not talking to you anymore. That was manipulative and I'm sorry. We need to work on making direct requests without manipulation and work on being able to handle no. Not everything's about you. In a journaling prompt, when was my last manipulative move and what scared me enough to use it? So those are the 5 signs that you might be the toxic one, because let's be real, nobody's perfect. We all have our toxic traits, whether it's one thing or another. But self-awareness is the key. Noticing these patterns doesn't make you a bad person. Pick a sign or however many that felt closest to you and try the journaling prompt associated with it. Accountability is one of the biggest traits that I admire in a person, when they can admit when they're wrong and try to evolve and grow. That's the ultimate trait for me. I think the world would be such a better place if people were more self-aware and willing to take accountability for their actions. But anyways, I hope that this was helpful and insightful even, and like and subscribe for more mental health and wellness content, and hopefully see you next time.